Can you use an ITIN to manage your finances online? It's a question a lot of people are asking, and today we're going to break it all down for you. So, on the surface, this seems like a simple yes or no question, right? But the answer is so much more interesting. It actually reveals this really complex system that connects old school paperwork with our modern digital world. So, let's dive in. The short answer is kinda yes, but, and trust me, that but is a big one. The whole journey to making online transactions actually begins with a very offline process. We're talking paper, pens, and stamps. It's a fascinating tale of two different worlds. So let's unpack how it all fits together. Okay, first things first. Before we can even get to the online part, we have to really understand the ITIN part. What is it? And maybe just as important, what is it not? This is where the story really begins. So picture this. It's 1996, and the IRS has a puzzle on its hands. How do you collect taxes from people who are required to pay them but aren't eligible for a social security number? Well, the ITIN was their solution. It was created for one main reason: to let more people follow U.S. tax laws. Now, this is super important to understand. An ITIN might look like a social security number. It has 9 digits, but they are not the same thing. Not even close. You can always spot an ITIN because it starts with the number 9, and its whole purpose is for tax reporting, period. It absolutely does not authorize work or give you access to Social Security benefits. That's a really critical difference. And that brings us to the paper part of our story. Before a single online transaction can happen, you have to go through a very real, very physical process. Getting an ITIN is a journey that starts with an old fashioned paper trail.
So the process itself isn't rocket science, but you have to be incredibly careful. First, you fill out the right form. Then, you have to attach original or certified documents that prove who you are. And here's the most important part: you have to mail it all in with a completed federal tax return. No tax return means no ITIN. It's as simple as that. And this right here, this is ground zero, the Form W-7. You fill this out, get your proof of identity together, like a passport, and then you bundle it all up with a valid tax return. The whole package gets mailed to the IRS Processing Center in Austin, Texas. It's a completely analog, paper-based process. Okay, so you've done it. You've navigated the paper trail, you've mailed everything in, and you've waited for the IRS to do its thing. Now you have an I-10. This is where we get to make the big switch from paper to pixels. How does this 9 digit number unlock the world of online finance? This is the payoff for all that paperwork. With that ITIN in your hand, doors to the financial world that were completely locked before can now swing right open. And often, it just takes a few clicks. It's like a bridge from the sidelines into the mainstream financial system. And listen, we're not just talking about some basic savings account here. No way. A growing number of banks and credit unions are offering the whole shebang to ITIN holders. I mean, everything from checking accounts and credit cards to auto loans and even mortgages is now on the table for people. You know, this simple quote from Embold Credit Union, it just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this huge shift that's happening. Financial institutions are realizing that including everyone isn't just a good thing to do for our communities, it's actually good for business. They're actively building ways for more people to build wealth and feel secure. So here's the bottom line, the key takeaway. Applying for the ITIN itself, that's an offline paper process. But once you have that number, you can use it to get all sorts of financial services online. You can apply for that car loan, open a credit card, or manage your bank account, all right from your computer or your phone. But what does all of this actually mean for the people who use the ITIN system? I mean, what are the real world benefits, and are there any risks they need to be thinking about? Let's take a look at the human side of all this. For so many people, like Ernesto here, this is about way more than just opening a bank account. It's about building a future. By filing taxes with an ITIN, they are creating an official, positive record of their contributions to the U.S. economy and showing they're following the law. It's a long-term investment in their own future.
And those contributions, wow, they are massive. In 2019 alone, taxpayers who use an ITIN contributed a net of $5.8 billion to the U.S. economy. Just let that number sink in. This is not a small group. It's a major economic force.
But at the same time, we have to look at the other side of the coin and be honest about the potential risks. While the IRS has some really strong privacy rules, they're not foolproof. The law does have exceptions that could let them share information, for instance, during a federal criminal investigation. For many people, that possibility is a very real concern.
So, after going on this whole journey from a paper form to online banking, what's the big picture here? What does the ITN system really tell us about where finance and inclusion are headed?
When you step back and look at it, the ITIN is this really clever, even if it's a little imperfect, solution to a super complex problem. It acts as this vital bridge, connecting an old school paper based tax system with our modern digital financial world. It makes it possible to both follow tax laws and get better access to financial tools, two things that are incredibly important. And that brings us to our last big thought for you to chew on. The story of the ITN is really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. As pretty much everything in our lives moves online, how do we build our financial systems so that they are truly for everyone? How do we make sure nobody gets left behind in the digital economy? The ITN is one answer, for sure. But what comes next? That's a question we all need to start asking.